Hello, this is FearDragon coming at you with another StarCraft 2 netcast. Today we have game number 2 between these two players, MVPGenius and LiquidTaeja. So if you have not seen game number 1, go ahead and click back to game number 1 and watch it before this game, as you don't want to miss out on this exciting best of 3 series. But if you have seen them, let's go ahead and introduce these two players. Spawning down here in the bottom left hand corner of Cloud Kingdom, we have the blue Protoss player whose name is in Korean and is representing Team MVP. His name is MVPGenius. And his opponent, spawning in the top right hand corner of Cloud Kingdom as the red Terran player. He's currently up 1-0 in this best of 3 series. We're gonna see if he can make it a 2-0. His name is LiquidTaeja. LiquidTaeja taking that last game with some nice holds against MVPGenius's army. And even though MVPGenius had some of those amazing force field walls, it just was not enough to hold back LiquidTaeja's army, and LiquidTaeja was able to take the game with a final aggression from MVPGenius being held off. MVPGenius realizing the situation he was in, without having that third up, without having really much of a tech to fall back upon, was forced to GG out of the game. But now we do see that this is brought to game number 2, Cloud Kingdom, and Cloud Kingdom, a highly favored Protoss map. So MVPGenius is definitely going to be feeling very comfortable. I think that I might actually be spewing out random numbers here, but I'm pretty sure that the win rate for Protoss against Terran on this map is around 70%. That's right, 70%. Now you might be wondering why that is the case. Well, you have to think about this. The later game Protoss players have been more successful. So a Protoss player who can bring it to that late game is generally more successful against Terran, since Terran have been having a very difficult time dealing with those late game Protoss balls of Colossus and High Templar mixed in. Now, why does that come into play on this map? Well, on this map, not only are there are these narrow chokes that make it very easy to force field off and make it very difficult for a Terran army to go ahead and engage through, but just the positioning of this third, it makes it very easy to defend against drops. So a Protoss player can very easily take a third pretty quickly, and basically what they'll do from there is they'll end up kind of defending against any kind of aggression at the third, and they're also at the same time, by doing that, defending against drops in the main, just because of the positioning of that third. And that makes it very, very easy to take that third safely without too much fear of drops. But we're going to have to see whether or not LiquidTaeja can make drops work in this game. If he can take this game, I do believe he will be winning this and basically win the best of 3 series. But if MVPGenius can hold off, utilize this map to its fullest potential, he will be able to bring this to game number 3. We have to wait and see if that's going to happen. Now we do see an expansion going down from both of these players. Both these players can be in a very comfortable position, but Taeja feeling in a much more comfortable position, considering that he says, hey, you know what? You're so easy, MGenius. I beat you so easily in that last game. I can just start attacking my own command center. Here, you're going to go ahead and all-in me again, right? I'll just attack my command center so that you'll have a little bit of an easier time with your all-in. Of course, he does decide, wait, I'm actually playing against the Codes Protoss player MVPGenius, who is aptly named because he actually is a genius. You have to be a genius to get to Codes with the balls of such a ballsy name as Genius. I mean, come on. Like, how terrible would it be if MVPGenius was just like Code B? You always hear about him. Oh yeah, that guy. I can't believe he named himself Genius. No, this guy is smart. Taeja's definitely not just fighting with all of his might to be able to take down this mammoth of a player. But we have seen him do it in that last game. We're going to see if he can do it again, though. We do actually see a 3-gate robotics facility play after that 1 gateway expansion coming out from MVPGenius. So he's kind of just playing a safe game. Does not want to lose to anything silly like a Cloak Banshee attack. And is even going to get out that Observer first. Going to go ahead and rally it across the map to his opponent's base just so we can get out that scout immediately. Now we do see a nice little sneaky SCV from LiquidTaeja, I guess scouting for potential proxies. Kind of interesting decision. I guess he has not really seen too much, so he might be a little bit wary of the potential for a 3-gate Stargate, or a proxy Stargate I should say, all in coming out from MVPGenius. We'll end up seeing whether or not LiquidTaeja is going to be over preparing for that or anything. I don't think he will. But we do see a nice little Marine force out for LiquidTaeja, a kind of earlier factory coming out in comparison to the last game, where in the last game actually LiquidTaeja went for that double reactor on his 2 additional barracks that he threw down, but this time going for the 2 tech labs and actually starting that Marauder production fairly early, looking like he might actually decide to do a little bit of early aggressive. Wow, a beautiful snipe from LiquidTaeja, getting that observer instantly. That's what you call a Hawkeye. Man, that was good. Those observers just appear as little blimps on them, blimps on the screen, but LiquidTaeja clearly having a better eye than I do, and is going to be taking this as an opportunity to move across the map, as MVPGenius has no idea what the army of LiquidTaeja is going to be going ahead and doing. Now, he does have a couple of sentries if he is properly positioned and reacts in time, and of course I do expect him to react in time, and we'll be able to easily defend against this. But it looks like with LiquidTaeja's move out across the map, he's just going to leave this 1 Marine over here, going to be scouting out for that 3rd expansion to be taken, and actually just moving back, regrouping with a couple of units. This is kind of what you might actually, if you watch kind of just cuts in just to bring this 1 Marine over there, kind of safely escort him over there, then kind of moves back to regroup with some of the 3 buildings, and he knows where MVPGenius is not. Now he's actually going to be taking down these destructible rocks. It's going to make it a little bit easier for him to move out if these destructible rocks you know, actually do end up getting knocked down later on. I guess any one of these Marines could actually just fire 1 shot at these destructible rocks. This is kind of like that car on the edge of the cliff that you just wait for that feather to fall down onto, and then the entire car just flips over. But for now, those destructible rocks will stay alive. I mean, destructible rocks with 3 health are just as good as destructible rocks with full health, at least until they actually get nice power. Just scout it out. It's going to delay this push in the minimum, and we'll end up seeing whether or not MVP is going to be prepared for it. There's 1 Colossus down the map. He's going to be prepared for this nice little force that's moved down over at the front, but in the meanwhile, it looks like LiquidTaeja deciding not to move ahead in. He does see that army is pretty nicely positioned, and with all these stalkers there, LiquidTaeja is definitely not going to be able to do much damage with these 2 dropships at this angle, at least. But meanwhile, we do see this 1 Marine stimming and running away for his freaking life against that angry Zealot. And the angry Zealot does end up retreating back to his home base. He's even the loner over here, just kind of like chilling out away from the rest of his army. He has no friends. He's just angry, wants to punch things in the face. But meanwhile, we do see that LiquidTaeja is kind of getting a little bit of scouting information from this factory, or at least he can in the future if he decides to move that in. And in the meanwhile, we end up seeing that, yeah, it looks like MVPGenius is going to go ahead and take that 3rd after killing off that 1 Marine that did get away from the Angry Zealot. Angry Colossus, actually much more, well, actually no, the Colossus did not get the kill on that Marine. But still, did he get the kill on that one? Nope. That looks like the Colossus is a little bit slower than the rest of his allied Protoss forces, but with that +1/+1 upgrade finishing, you might be able to get a couple of Marine kills in that big engagement, I'm sure. And a very interesting play over here from MVPGenius. Actually has these stalkers warped in over in this top left-hand corner. That's going to be very, very nice to spot for those kind of drop plays, and that's actually going to work out very well if LiquidTaeja does decide to go for that very roundabout drop path. In the meanwhile, we do see a couple of Vikings already produced, ready for that Colossus combat, starting to build up from MVPGenius. We're going to end up seeing whether or not that's going to come out into the big engagement. There are 3 Colossus out. That is a very much a money number against a Terran player, as 3 Colossus will just eat those Marines and Marauders alive unless the Vikings start taking them out very quickly. We do see the Vikings starting to get some nice shots off. 1 Colossus does go down, and a nice takeoff actually from MVPGenius. MVPGenius ends up getting quite a few of LiquidTaeja's army to just trap within those force fields. So we're going to end up seeing whether or not, looks like it's going to be the not case where LiquidTaeja and MVPGenius are both moving back a little bit. Throughout this recap of those, move up path does not want to get caught off guard by additional force fields, as these sentries definitely have quite a bit of energy. We just see one main full forward. Red for the probe tricks, unfortunately for him. He could have had a heyday with that. But we do see as the army of LiquidTaeja moving in once again. These Vikings getting another round. Glorious shot off. Unfortunately, not getting the best part fire down. Could have taken out one of those Colossus, but did not get the opportunity to actually. As he does end up having to retreat back just a little bit. Now those Vikings giving chase to that Colossus, even getting a bit of a scan to try and get a couple of additional shots off, but does not end up getting. He has to be very careful about moving out this ramp. He does not want to get force field in half. It looks like MVPGenius there could go the force field down. Where are the force field? Looks like he's not actually going to be throwing them down. He can shut this entire army over here, but there goes down the force field. But now these Colossus are getting focused right down, but the remaining Vikings. Looks like LiquidTaeja is going to be in a very nice position to take this game, as he is cleaning up quite a bit of the army. All the Colossus are eliminated. The Vikings actually landed, and the Marauders and the Marines able to chase back MVPGenius' army, and now MVPGenius relying on another Colossus that did get pushed out, and he will be able to do some nice damage. He might actually be able to force back LiquidTaeja's army with a flurry of warp-ins from these Zealots, and now we do see LiquidTaeja healing up a little bit though for round 2. He's getting ready to go. He is rocking. He is not finished quite yet with MVPGenius. He wants to take out this third expansion, as he is not taking one of his own, so he is kind of all in at this point. He needs to do a huge amount of damage to still be in this game, and here we see him moving into that third expansion. Looks like, oh my god, MVPGenius deciding he might not be able to take this one. He does end up backing up, giving up ground. He's definitely going to lose his third expansion, but will he lose the rest of his army? No, we'll see MVPGenius realizing he's going to end up losing that battle. He decides to engage right over there. Does end up retreating with the rest of the army. He still has a nice worker advantage. He's still not completely at a loss in this game. LiquidTaeja is moving forward though. He does have a drop loaded up with just 3 Marauders. He could do some nice damage, as he knows the entire army of MVPGenius is loaded up over at that natural expansion. Now we do see the 3 Marauders doing nice bit of damage. They're going to be able to pick off this pylon. We do see that the Stalkers with the strength are able to immediately move up into the main. Now he might actually be able to get those options. No, does not engage the Dawson. Does end up picking off 1 of the Marauders, and in the meanwhile, LiquidTaeja cleans up the remaining assimilator of MVPGenius, and actually it comes out pretty well in that engagement, I have to say. Ends up taking out that third expansion, ends up doing a nice little drop into the main just to do a little bit of harassment, forcing MVPGenius to warp in additional units, which obviously he wants to be saving up for that third expansion once again, but at this point in time, he's going to be in a very difficult position. Of course, MVPGenius does have a couple of Zealots warped in over here. He might actually be a little bit surprised to see, wait, my opponent doesn't have a third yet? This is kind of surprising. Of course, actually no, looks like MVPGenius is very on par with your very good game sense of realizing that with this kind of army, LiquidTaeja must not have created that third. He would actually have a much smaller army, considering he invested so heavily in this army, and having this big an army comes at a cost. And that cost was his economy. Now we see over here, actually looks like he might, yeah, it looks like he actually is still kind of spotting around for that potential third. And we do see a very nice play with these SCVs actually repairing those Vikings. But still, we don't see a third coming down for LiquidTaeja just yet. We see him getting completely mined out in his main, getting very close to mined out in his natural expansion. And in the meanwhile, we see the third kind of going up for LiquidTaeja. Careful, MVPGenius over here. Now we're going to have to see whether or not LiquidTaeja decides to move in over there. It's going to be very dangerous, as there are still those sentries. You can get force field at the ramp. And one bad engagement for LiquidTaeja could spell the end of his reign in this game. As honestly, just one bad engagement and he will lose his army. His army is all he has at this point in time. And we do see he's gonna have a golden opportunity to move up this ramp. He does go with it. He goes up with the Vikings. He sees that he has the opportunity. He stims up. He gets a great shot off on this next. He's gonna be able to bring it down immediately. Now he's chasing after the army. He's gonna actually go ahead and back up. I really like him sitting in the back of this point in time. He knows that he's in a very nice position. He ends up closing off that nexus without really losing all. Really losing too much. And he knows that MVPGenius is investing in that nexus. he's going to be in a very nice position to just back off, play it safe for a little bit longer, max up once again, and then go ahead and engage once he has that maxed army. Now we do actually see that the +3 armor upgrade for MVPGenius is going to be finishing up. He's going to be sitting on +2, +3, and that's definitely going to be helping him out, as his opponent is only on +1, +1. No sign of +2, +2 coming out just quite yet. So LiquidTaeja definitely going to be in a very, very honest position. We can see over here he's actually even pulling a couple more SCVs for this big engagement. He does move up with most of his army. He's going to have a very nice concave going in this battle, but his army is sitting quite a bit far in the back. The Zealot's definitely getting taken out, but these Colossus doing a massive amount of damage, even though there are all those Vikings taking out the Colossus quite quickly, just not quite quickly, and now we can see these Colossus are getting an insane amount of kills. And look at this Colossus with those +2, +3 able to take out most of the majority of the army of LiquidTaeja, and LiquidTaeja on the retreat now. Even though all the Colossus are taking out, all these Stalkers remaining, and they are able to take out all of these medevacs, the pros even in the engagement, but it doesn't really matter. These pros are not going to be able to mine anyways, as the third was end up getting picked off. At this point in time, it's going to be this Stalkers and these Vikings, these Stalkers in the center versus these Vikings, Marauders in the ring, and a couple of medevacs. These medevacs are so low on energy, a couple of forces going down, but there are no forces left with that last one being thrown down. We do see a couple additional probes, turn and mine a little bit of minerals, but getting caught in the crossfire. There is going to be no mining going on for LiquidTaeja or MVPGenius in this game, as none of these players have any intention of expanding anymore. They are pretty much dead broken. We do see one Colossus coming out. He needs to get at least a couple of shots off. There is one shot. He doesn't even get the second shot off. The Vikings being very effective. They are going to go ahead and land on top of these Stalkers. Looks like, oh my god, MVPGenius, he's actually done it. He's going to be able to hold off LiquidTaeja's insane aggression again and again, but now we do see one last steam up. There are two more forces being thrown down. He doesn't have to pick up an additional Viking, a couple of additional reinforcement units coming out from LiquidTaeja, another steam in, but these medevacs cannot afford to heal anymore. The Marauders actually getting picked off now, and the Stalkers doing an insane amount of damage. This is a crazy set of engagements, folks. I don't even know what to say anymore. These units are getting cleaned up by LiquidTaeja, and they are so low on health, and the unit count is so low, but he's slowly starting to pick away, and MVPGenius is slowly starting to inch ahead in that little unit lead. But what's this? A huge, actually relatively small, but in this case, it's a very large series of reinforcements, and it looks like he's actually going to be able to put MVPGenius on the back foot once again. What a crazy game, folks. Now he does still have these medevacs, so even though they don't have much energy, he can actually do a nice little drop play into the main, start taking on some of those pylons that, you know, MVPGenius is not going to be able to launch or reinforce. And look at this, some nice rifles going down. He does not want to lose any units, as every single unit is so valuable in this game. And now we see the Stalkers actually getting caught, catching a couple of units a little bit off guard. All these units so low on health, they're actually standing up. We have the Stalkers at a very nice engagement angle. I don't think that only like two Marines might have gone down that engagement for the price of 2 or 3 Stalkers. That was a beautiful engagement for LiquidTaeja, but now he's going to go ahead and retreat, try and get up this. Oh my god, actually this is the advantage of being a Terran player. You can just lift off your main Nexus and go ahead and bring it over to your third, start mining immediately, but in the meanwhile, MVPGenius has nothing. He cannot even afford a Nexus at this point. Look at how long it's going to take him to mine enough for a Nexus in this game. Oh my god, these income are so low. Of course, LiquidTaeja has that spiraling income, or skyrocketing income in this game, just because he has this insane number of mules built up. Still, wow, what an insane game, guys. And honestly, at this point in time, I have to say the ball kind of falls into LiquidTaeja's, into MVPGenius' court. He has to make something happen, considering he is not mining and his opponent is, but he is moving across the map with these Stalkers. He's going to be able to do some nice little aggression. He might be able to pick off a couple of these mules if he can do a good amount of damage to these SCVs and maybe do a good amount of damage to the army. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to, which is good competition. That's just these Stalkers against this very, very Marauder heavy force. Look at this. There are almost as many Marauders as there are Stalkers. But look at this. Some nice Blue Micro could be the saving grace of MVPGenius. You have to see there's a nice little group of units also coming around. They might actually be looking to do a bit of a flank over here, but now we do see the big engagement over here. Once again from LiquidTaeja, he's coming in. These Marauders are doing a nice little flanking position, but they do not do as much damage as might have hoped, but still, it's going to be enough. There is the GG coming out from MVPGenius, so that's actually going to put the series in, in LiquidTaeja's favor. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just so perplexed by how insane that game was. It was so back and forth, down to the wire for sure. But I actually think I lied to you guys, as I know that there is going to be another game in this series. I actually just took a look. You guys can't see it, but I just alt-tabbed out really quickly to go ahead and look and see what the next game I'm going to be casting is. And it looks like there's actually going to be a game number 3 between LiquidTaeja and MVPGenius. So it looks like this was a best of 5 series. I lied to you in the last game. I lied to you in this game. I'm not going to lie to you in the next game. I will be sure, and I will go ahead and check out and see what this is actually a best of. This might actually even be a best of 7. Who knows at this point in time. But we are going to be going into game number 3. So stay tuned. And remember, LiquidTaeja up 2-0. Can MVPGenius, the hero Protoss, definitely the underdog at this point in time now. Wouldn't have thought it at first, but now it's looking like it. He's going to need to make a comeback. Let's see if he can do it. But in the meanwhile, if you enjoy my commentary in any capacity whatsoever, go ahead and subscribe. Also follow me on Twitter and twitch.tv. My handle on both of those is FearDragon64. You can also email replays you want cats at FearDragon64@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and go to game number 3. I'm tired of waiting.